Over the course of the 20 years that the Red Dead franchise has existed, many people have came up with theories ranging from a man's sexuality to the possibility of a character being a cannibal. Today I want to cover a bunch of Red Dead theories in the popular Iceberg chart format, going from the most to least known. So with that, let's get into the Red Dead theories iceberg. This is probably the biggest theory in the community, but many people like to believe that Uncle the Old Drunk is actually Red Harlow from Rockstar's Red Dead Revolver. The last time we see Red, he spits a one-liner, never to be seen again. Red's mysterious abandonment as a character means the rest of his life is unknown. This theory presents the idea that Red eventually became Uncle. Similar to Red, Uncle also has a mysterious part in his life, this being his uprise. Both characters have missing parts of their story, meaning it's not impossible for them to be connected. Evidence of this is the fact that Uncle says this line.
Well, in my youth, I used to be known as the one-shot kid.
One-shot kid can be interpreted in another way, so it's unknown if he's referring to being Red Harlow or, one-shot kid. Though we don't get much of Uncle's backstory, we have enough to get an understanding of who he was. Born 1849 in Ohio, Uncle's parents died when he was 9 years old, leading him to move to a new city to live on his wits. He also had a pedophile uncle. Not sure how that correlates to the theory, but yeah. Red Harlow's parents also died when he was young, but he was 14 years old. Is this enough to discredit the theory? No, but there are many plot holes in Red Dead, so it's possible that this is a retcon. Uncle never recites the events of Red Dead Revolver. You would think he would want to talk about the time he took down Governor Griffin, or when he took down multiple towns of hundreds of people. But Uncle never recites such events, which is out of character for someone who seemingly loves the attention. There is more the community tries to prove, like how Red has scars directly where Uncle's are. The only problem is that Uncle's quote-unquote scars are really just wrinkles. Many points brought up that are quickly disproven, but something that can put this theory to rest is the fact that Rockstar has said that the stories of Revolver and Redemption are in two separate universes. That about covers it for this theory, and I want to hear your thoughts below. On to the next entry. A theory I had just covered in my previous video, Bill Williamson being homosexual is a popular theory in the community. From clues around the game, we can learn that Bill was discharged from the army for deviancy, which homosexual behavior was a reason to be discharged in 1892. Another reason for this theory is the many instances of characters referencing Bill and other men.
Well, Lenny and Jenny could never have worked. That's like Arthur and Martha, or Bill and Phil.
All of this, along with Bill's strange relationships with side characters, is what drives this theory. It's said by Bill that he knows of, or at least had a conversation with, Sonny the homosexual in the swamp. He's also seen to take an interest in Kieran Duffy, but it's unknown if there's a sexual aspect to this interest. Overall, it's a theory which isn't even really a theory, it's almost the truth at this point. Rockstar never outright says he's homosexual, so it's likely that Bill is in the closet. It just so happens all the other characters have seen what's in that closet. Anyway, tell me what you think, and let's get on to the next entry. Strange Man being Trelawney is a weird theory. In Red Dead Redemption 1, we're able to speak to a mysterious man on a mountaintop. He never reveals his name, but the mission calls him Strange Man. This man shows up 2 more times, bringing the same type of quest for John to go on, this being his test of morality. The last mission has John shooting the Strange Man 3 times, but all shots seemingly miss, almost like he's not actually there. This confirms that he's supernatural, and it's the last time we actually see him talking. But according to this theory, the Strange Man is the same person as a new character in Red Dead Redemption 2 named Josiah Trelawney. Both characters have top hats with suits and handlebar mustaches. Besides that, there's a strange line of dialogue from Arthur.
Yo, you're a strange man, Trelawney.
Other than that, there's not much evidence connecting the two. For why they look so similar, Trelawney is dressed as a showman, putting on a suit and a tie to throw people off of him being an actual outlaw. His professional crimes relates to his professional appearance. The Strange Man, on the other hand, is more dressed as the image of death. It's a very popular description that Death, or whatever greater cause, wears a black hat and a suit, so it's possible Rockstar went with that look for the character. The similarity between the two is minor, and there's little evidence to back this up. Let's head on to the next entry. A theory which has grown in popularity over the past year is Abigail Marston being the Vanderlyn gang's second rat. There are lines of dialogue that allude to her not feeling safe within the gang. This could be from John almost dying on the Blackwater job. Over time, she openly criticizes Dutch, and it's clear she wants out of the outlaw lifestyle. So is it a stretch to say she made a deal with the Pinkertons for her family's safety? A theory popularized by the YouTuber Phil B Gaming opens the idea of Abigail wanting Arthur to take Jack on a fishing trip in Chapter 2, because she wanted Arthur to turn Dutch into the Pinkertons. Of course Arthur doesn't do it, but then there's more suspicious instances of the Marston family getting out of tough situations. The Saint-Denis bank job. The plan had Hosea and Abigail setting a distraction for any law, only problem was they caught Hosea, but it's suspicious Abigail was able to slip away so easily. And then there's John being captured by the Pinkertons. John wasn't killed but just taken to prison, a small sentence compared to what his brothers had to go through. It's this suspicion that Dutch shares with Arthur in Chapter 5.
So what happened with John in that bank?
He survived, unlike dear Hosea and Lenny. The only one they took alive. Why is that, you think?
Then there's when John got out of prison. Dutch didn't want Sadie or Arthur to break him out because he's seen John as a possible rat and a liability. He most likely would have left John to die. That could give Abigail even more of an incentive to go against her former family for her own. The last missions of Chapter 6 has the gang robbing a train, and this is when John gets shot. He falls down and Dutch says to go back for him, which is revealed that he doesn't later on in the mission. When the gang goes back to camp, it's revealed that the Pinkertons captured Abigail. It's strange that she's the only person they captured, and randomly it seems. When Arthur goes to save her, Agent Milton reveals that Micah Bell was the rat, which goes against our whole theory. Many people will say he lied, but he has no reason to lie. He was about to kill Arthur and send the two to prison. It's a writing cliche to have your villain reveal the master plan right before he unexpectedly meets his demise. It's a part of this theory that makes it difficult to see the writers intend this storyline. Why have the villain lie? I will say it's weird that Abigail is the one that actually killed the man himself. It's almost like her storyline was complete. But is it possible the rat plotline is so confusing because of rewriting? Was there a draft of the script where it's revealed that Abigail was the rat? It's these questions we're left with, and I want to hear what you believe. With that, along with the next entry. In Chapter 4, we meet a man named Angelo Bronte. He runs the city of Saint-Denis and he doesn't like Dutch on his territory, so he sets Dutch up on a fake job. The police show up and they have to flee from a trolley cart that runs through the city. As they're running, they break the mechanism and the trolley starts going on an unexpected speed. It's when they crash that Dutch has a line of dialogue hinting at the fact that he hurt his head.
I don't feel so good.
Now you just got a bash on the head.
A quick one-off line spoiled into an entire theory that Dutch suffered a severe brain injury from this. It's especially strange that Dutch isn't himself in later chapters. It starts in the mission right after, where he goes out of his way to kill Angelo Bronte in a violent rage. His mental decline gets even worse because of the death of Hosea and the gang being stranded on Guarma. In Chapter 6, we don't see the same man as before. He starts making more selfish, reckless, and delusional decisions based on emotions. It's odd to say the least, but it's hard to point a finger at what exactly caused his mental decline. There are many possible answers, but it's up to your interpretation. I personally don't believe this theory, but it's not bad in the slightest, just a little bit unlikely.
Abigail joined the gang in 1894 as a prostitute and had relations with many of the gang members. 1895, she got pregnant and John Marston took responsibility as the father of Jack. He obviously had relations with her, but since the whole gang had their turn, it's possible John's seed did not make Jack. It's alluded that she had relations with Dutch, Javier, Bill, and possibly even Arthur. It's in 1914 where we can finally see Jack all grown up, but he has strange facial features that don't exactly match up with John. The mustache specifically looks like Javier's or Dutch's. This, along with this piece of dialogue,
I have to say, you don't look much like a Marston.
hints at the fact that John isn't the true father of Jack. Either way, John raised him and the story doesn't change because of it, along with the next entry.
Another theory I covered in a previous video, Pearson being the second rat, continues the community's obsession with the rat plotline. This theory is the idea that Pearson ratted on the gang twice in the story, first in Chapter 3 with the Wraithwaites. In the mission where you and Sadie mail a letter in town, she reads it off and it says it's from a woman named Aunt Kathy. Could this Aunt Kathy actually be Catherine Braithwaite? This explains how the Braithwaites knew what the gang were up to and possibly how Jack got kidnapped so easily. The last part of this theory is in the epilogue, where we learn Pearson took a wife and got a general store in the town of Rhodes. If you go there as John, you will have a conversation where John tells Pearson where he is. Later on in the credits, we see Agent Ross investigating what John has done. The second to last place we see them is near the town of Rhodes, then the last time we see them is at John's farm. Could it be that Agent Ross visited Pearson and Pearson told him where John was? We know Pearson's wife doesn't like John, so maybe it's possible he ratted out John unwillingly. This would mean Pearson was responsible for the events of Red Dead Redemption 1 and John's death. But what do you think of this theory? Check out my full video on the topic in the description, but with that, let's go to the next entry.
Another somewhat recent theory states that Dutch's partner, Molly O'Shea, was actually pregnant with his baby. This could explain her odd behavior and a constant need to tell Dutch something that she never gets out. In chapter 6, she comes back to camp drunk and tells everyone she's an informant for the Pinkertons. Another rat plotline detail, but this theory is that she's pregnant. But could it be that she drank so much to cope with what she was going through, or to get even darker, is it possible she's trying to drink the baby to death? Either way, she dies at the hands of Miss Grimshaw, so we'll probably never get an answer. With that dark theory out of the way, let's get to a more interesting one.
A theory I actually created, I take full credit for this. Micah riding as far back as chapter 3 is an idea I thought of during the mission Blessed Are the Peacemakers, but before that, there's a strange item at Micah's campsite from chapter 2. It's Dutch's bounty poster. First off, why would Micah need this? You can say he wanted to help Dutch by taking it down, but why keep it? It's a small hint by Rockstar that Micah might be up to something. This something is in chapter 3. When talking to Micah, Pearson interrupts to bring Dutch the news that the O'Driscolls want a parlay. Dutch and Arthur are hesitant, but Micah for some reason is pitching the whole idea like he planned it. Dutch then agrees, and on the way there, Micah is acting very out of character.
Maybe he's right, Dutch. Maybe. I have pushed too hard. Got us into situations that could have been safer. I see all those mouths we gotta feed, and I dream too big. Caring too much. That's my problem.
This is horse shit from both of you.
I'll bring this up later, but as we know, the O'Driscolls capture Arthur and take him to an abandoned house. In the cellar with Colm is when we learn of their plan to capture Arthur and half the gang to show up to be caught by the Pinkertons. But there's one question in all this. How did Colm actually think Dutch would fall for it? He knows that Dutch wouldn't fall for the idea, so this is when our favorite rat comes in. Micah sees how much money he would make off of turning Dutch in, and this is when he goes to the O'Driscolls to pitch the idea. They come up with the plan and it's almost successful until Arthur got himself out. If the plan actually worked, Micah would have gotten paid from Dutch's bounty, exactly how he planned it, exactly the reason why Dutch's bounty poster is at his camp. Anyway, tell me what you think of this theory in the comments, and check out my full Micah Bell storyline video in the description. I go way more into detail on his motivations for doing this. On to the last tier. A theory created by Junior.RDR2 and covered by Fizzy, Dutch as a cannibal is a theory that might show how bad Dutch's mental state could have been at. As we know, Dutch moved in the mountains of tall trees, in a cave. In this cave we can find odd decorations. A human skull is on display, but something even more strange is the human-looking bones right next to his campfire. These models of bones are seen in the mission plotline American Appetites, where it's used to represent human bones. There's also a plate of mysterious meat on Dutch's meal. The last detail is the bathtub with dark red stains on it. Could this just be rust? Or is it possible this is where Dutch butchers the people he eats? It's an interesting thought that adds a very dark aspect of Dutch's character. Tell me what you think, and now let's get on to the last theory.
A theory popularized by us, Zonkers, is the idea that Lyle Morgan abused his son Arthur. As we know, Arthur's mother passed away, leaving his father with him.
Now it's said by Arthur that Lyle was an outlaw and he possibly beat him as a child. And in regards to his father's death, Arthur says it weren't soon enough. And he even refers to him in his journal as a no-good bastard. If you're interested in seeing a full analysis of who this character was, I would suggest you head on over to our channel and check out our video on Lyle Morgan. Thank you, Waxy, for having us on. And have a wax-tastic day!
For now, I want to thank you all for watching. This was a fun video to make and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any Red Dead theories of your own that you would want me to cover, I suggest adding me on Discord and I'll read through them. Other than that, have a great day.
To where the river turns to dust and God is never rushed, come only by my side, right here.